And now, let's join ace broadcaster Mamode Akuga as he takes us inside the Niger Delta.
Our next package on the program is a special report on a recent oil spill in Aghoro Community in Ekeremor local government area of Bayelsa State. The impact of ecological devastation in the community is indeed very disturbing, as you will soon find out in this report. On Thursday, 17th May 2018, the tranquil Aghoro Community in Ekeremor local government area of Bayelsa State lost its calm to a massive oil spill along the 24-inch Trans-Ramos pipeline owned and operated by Shell Petroleum Development Company, SPDC. The spill, which resulted from equipment failure, quickly spread across the riverine community and other neighboring communities, leaving in its wake an unprecedented damage on the entire ecosystem. The aquatic environment appeared to have been worse hit by the spillage. On a visit to Aghoro Community shortly after the incident occurred, it was observed that this river, which serves as a major source of livelihood for its inhabitants, had been covered with large crude oil deposits discharged from the ruptured pipeline. The magnitude of the pollution was such that few species of fish and aquatic resources could withstand the pollution in the wake of the oil spill. This development has generated fears about an impending food crisis in the area following the people's dislocation from their means of livelihood. The distraught people of Aghoro Community and their leaders have decided to take Shell to task. During a visit to the spill site recently, Fred Agbedi, an indigene of Aghoro Community and member representing Sagbama Ekeremor Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives, drew attention to the issues of public health attendant on the pollution.
It's a devastation on the people and on the environment. And we expect that Shell and the federal government as joint partners in this business to quicken action. I expect that the medical team should have been on ground long before now, dealing with the issues of expected health hazard, because human lives are involved, environment is involved, and people need to have their source of living restored back to them.
The magnitude of the Aghoro oil spill and its negative impacts on the people has also drawn the attention of the Bayelsa State government. The State Deputy Governor, John Agbori, is particularly more concerned about the long-term effects of the spill.
When you are exploiting the resources and you don't think of what happens to the human beings, the impact on life cannot be assessed now, maybe so after some years, but we are all breathing just the fumes of crude oil, like diesel. It is a very, very devastating incident. I want the company, particularly Shell, to redouble their efforts. We'll go and submit our reports to government so we can take a coordinated effort to ensure that these type of things are avoided in the environment.
Dr. Ekeremor Festus Odubo is a United States-based environmental consultant and regulator from Aghoro Community. He had to take an emergency trip to his hometown to assess the extent of damage occasioned by the oil spill.
We have been able to gather that it was an equipment failure. There was a leak in the pipe. Is that pipe being inspected as required in the Nigerian environmental laws?
Although Shell admitted that the Aghoro oil spill was on account of equipment failure and has since commenced remediation work, members of the community are worried that the process has been too slow. Delay, they say, is dangerous for the entire population there.
It's not a sabotage, it's a mechanical failure, which all of us know. Right now we are recovering the crude from the saver pit, and those on the charge of excavation of the pipe, they are on process. That's why you see the Swambugi on site.
They are supposed to have an oil spill containment plan. How effective is that plan? Those are some of the questions that we need answered.
Dr. Odubo blames incessant cases of environmental pollution in the Niger Delta on inadequate laws and poor enforcement. is even more critical of the oil companies, notably Shell, whom he accuses of negligence in their approach to oil exploration and spillage containment in the region.
Somehow, these international companies take advantage of the lax environmental regulations in Nigeria, because what is going on in the Niger Delta and what is going on in Nigeria in terms of the environmental laws and how these companies respond is quite different from what happens when they operate in other countries. This water, the river where the spill occurred, is their source of water supply. So they're not even supposed to have any form of contact. In fact, they are not supposed to have any form of contact with that water. Right now, what Shell is supposed to be doing is provide alternative water supplies to these communities.
You are supposed to provide water for this period of time until it is imagined that the effect of the impact must have smeared down, must have been washed off.
Immediately provide medical support, bring water and other additional relief facilities, because there will be a point where perhaps as leaders we may not be able to contain the anger of the community, and that will not be the best interest for all of us.
Please, I'm calling on Shell, the federal government, to ensure that human life is valued much more than what compensation, environmental remedy you are going to do. Even if you are going to do environmental remedy and the people are no longer alive, who are you doing the environmental remedy for?
One of the earliest explorers of crude oil in the Niger Delta, and by far the biggest joint venture partner in the management of Nigeria's oil wealth, Shell, has a visible presence in the region's major oil fields. Its larger-than-life influence notwithstanding, it appears the Anglo-Dutch oil giant no longer enjoys the trust and confidence of its host communities. Over the years, Shell has been accused of extracting crude oil without regard for environmental guidelines and regulations, and has employed divide-and-rule tactics to check resistance in its host communities. A common reference point is Shell's alleged involvement in the Ogoni oil conflict that claimed several lives in the mid-90s. The Aghoro oil spill is the latest in a series of ecological disasters recorded in recent times in Shell's areas of operations. The extent of damage on the community is obviously far-reaching and could have more devastating effects on all life forms if no proactive steps are taken to clean up the environment. In addition to a proper remediation work it is expected to carry out in this community, the onus is on Shell to adequately compensate the people in line with the globally accepted polluter pays principle. It is the considered opinion of the communities and environmental activists that any action taken to the contrary will amount to environmental injustice for the Aghoro people.
Inside the Niger Delta,